panel discussion segment of FailFest. I will begin the discussion by quoting two examples. J.K. Rowling started writing her books when she failed in her personal life. She hit rock bottom, and it was during that period that she found a spot in a coffee shop and started writing the very famous Harry Potter series. Then we have our very own Siddhartha Gautam, who failed to find a right teacher in his quest for truth. He came close to death, and it was that moment of extreme failure that dawned wisdom upon him. So I have a question for you, Meetu. Is failure even a bad thing?
Hello everyone, good evening. First of all, thank you to all the speakers. Wonderful stories of inspiration and strive, and how all of you use different things to cope with it and then came out on the other side sharpened. Coming back to failure, I think since the day we are born, failure is part of life. Sometimes the setbacks are really big and they put us back in life. But we experience failure every day. A toddler experiences failure when they start walking and falling, and then when they get up, that's how they start learning how to walk. Now the thing is, when you are young, like the toddler, your fear factor is very less. So that's nothing is holding you back. You want to try it again and see. But as we experience life, we also experience different kinds of shame. We experience fear. We experience all the things that we hear from people. And so that has made failure as this big, that scary thing that we all talk about. Because we talk about success so much from childhood, failure loses out. So if there were more stories that were told in school about failure and how people have come out of it and how everyone can, I think failure is a great lesson, and it also helps you develop a muscle for endurance, for persistence, for grit. It's a lesson for next time that what I should be doing. It's also a story of resilience that you share like this with people and inspire others to, deal with failure and setbacks and triggers and, things like that. So yes, failure is a mixed bag. It depends on how you take it, what's your mindset, how do you process it, and how you look at it.
Omana, would you like to share your thoughts?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much to the entire FailFest team. I think it's been really very good. All the 5 speakers and Ranjan holding the whole thing together. I think it's really good. And Nivedita, you're always great. Thanks. So it's been wonderful. I really feel that if we look at today's situation with a lot of youngsters, even the grown-ups, but especially school-going children and youngsters, we make a big deal out of failure and success both. Actually, what is failure? No? It's just that there was an anticipated or an expected outcome that didn't happen. So what? Big deal. So if we look at the first speaker, so many times entrepreneurship and so many different ventures that he started. So one thing didn't work out. So what? Big deal. Have another one. Then again another one. So it's very important for me when you ask me, is failure, is it a bad thing? There's nothing good or bad about failure. Same thing, there's nothing great or good or bad about success. The person immediately, yes, we're very happy that I wanted a particular outcome and I got it. Great. But that doesn't mean that, oh, I wanted a particular outcome, I didn't get it, and now we cry about it. So I think we could shift the way we look at both success and failure.
Okay, so what does the anatomy of failure look like?
All right. So failure can start with a trigger, right? It could be you failed an exam, an interview, or also how today we heard stories of loss. They are not exactly failures, but the anatomy is mostly similar to how we fail. So the first thing that happens when there is a trigger to us, there is a setback, is that physiologically your body responds automatically. So that means your autonomous nervous system is switched on. And so you will experience symptoms of, your heart is racing, you're feeling weak in the legs, you're feeling queasy. So this is physiologically what is happening to you over a period of time also. The second thing is that anatomy will come down to what are you thinking? What's the self-talk? What we call as cognitive distortions, the negative self-talk that you have. Like if I don't pass this exam, if I don't score 95 in my grade 12, my life is ruined. So this is like catastrophizing negative self-talk, where you attach a consequence and you say like, oh, my life is doomed now. If I don't get this, my life is doomed. If I don't get to marry this person, my life is doomed. So we look at, this is cognitive distortion. So that happens. And then beyond that, a lot of other emotions creep in. There is emotion of learned helplessness, where you start feeling, I can't do this, I can't go on. Because over years, your mindset told you that you are as good as your results. So if you have not done well, so you are helpless now, and life is going to throw you wherever it wants to throw you. So it's important to break down these things when you are going through some kind of setback and see that how you are processing each stage, and there are coping mechanisms for each stage that are there. When you are in fight or flight, how you cope with that. When you are having negative self-talk, how do you cope with that? When you are isolated and in feeling of shame, how to cope with that. So all of this, I think, sums up like what failure or a setback looks like when we break it down, Yeah, Omna, yours.
So adding to what Meetu has said, everything that she said is there. If I were to give another perspective to the same situation, whatever has happened in that moment, how about breaking it up into fact versus opinion? So if we were to just look at the fact, let's say in school, okay, I got only 30 marks out of 100. But that is a simple fact. That's it. And then there are a lot of opinions about that fact. That's our story, that's our narrative. Oh my God, now what am I going to do in life? I will have to write the exam all over again. What if the more difficult questions come? Now, there can be a whole load of narrative, huge amounts. Or if somebody loses the job, now how am I going to pay my EMI? And now there are so many opinions that we are going to have about it. I'm not denying all those things, but if we are going to get caught in those opinions, in that narrative, you're going to take a downward spiral. Opinions exist, yes, but could be focused on the fact. You could say, okay, I got only 30 out of 100. So what? The moment you say, so what? your narrative is going to, in some situations, you can kind of put a stop to it, or at least you can help put a stop to it. You can look at it as, so what? Oh my God, now all these people are going to do this to me. Is that true? Really? Okay, what could I do? So it would be good to see if we are getting caught with opinions which need not be real versus staying with the fact and checking, what can I do about this now? Can I do something about it? Can I seek some help? Can I talk to somebody about it? So that would be the first step that I would suggest. That can you differentiate the fact from opinion? It really helps a lot.
Sure, Omana, like you said now that seek help. So, which means that failure has a coping mechanism. What is that coping mechanism? Is it one size fit all, or there are different coping mechanisms for different kinds of failures, for different kinds of people?
Okay. So again, there are different kinds of failures. Some setbacks have decades behind you. So that processing is different. Some are very in the moment kind of failures that you didn't do the exam well, or you lost a job, or things like that. Some of the stories that we heard today were of losses which has taken them decades to come out of it and process it, right? So coping mechanisms will be different. There are a lot of coping mechanisms, and it's not one size fits all, but broadly how we can categorize them is, the first is the cognitive reframing. So all the negative self-talk, all what Omana also said, like people telling you stuff about, you should be doing this, this is how life should be, this is how your timeline should be. So one is the reframing of that, like whatever you are processing, how do I reframe it? So suppose if I failed an exam, then I say, I did not do well in this exam, probably I need to revisit my preparation, or maybe there are some other resources I need to go and use to come out of it. So this is cognitive reframing of thoughts that we do. So it's a simple process. Your thoughts will lead to some emotions, which will lead to some behavior, and that behavior will decide the outcome of your life. So if your thoughts are constantly telling you you are a failure because you failed, you scored 50 out of 100, then your emotions will be of very deep nature, very painful. It will be of rejection of self, it will be of frustration, it will be lot that will fall in the sad and angry kind of emotion catalog of emotions, right? So you are automatically going to feel these, and they are going to carry on for a long period of time. So it's important that you immediately, those emotions you start processing, as Omana said, is this a fact or am I extrapolating? Is this a fact, or do I have evidence that in the past when I scored less and I didn't do anything? Probably not, because if you didn't score well in one subject, maybe you did well in the debate competition and you won the trophy for the school. So, there are ways where you can start disclaiming these thoughts and, increasing your confidence. There are a lot of other coping strategies also which are long-term, but there are some very short-term ones also which you can use in the moment when you are going through that challenge. So things like people in fight and flight, anxiety, trauma response, you are getting up with a lot of, your heart is racing, your palpitations are high, you have cold hands and you're, feeling queasy and things like that. So with these, the coping mechanisms are more like calm down. How my dysregulated nervous system can I now focus to get it regulated? And what that does that mean? That I have to regulate, I have to stimulate my sympathetic nervous system, not the automatic nervous system which is going on overdrive right now. So my cortisol is high, my heart is going like at 100 a pulse. So I have to stimulate my sympathetic nervous system, for which you have your pranayams, you have guided meditation, you have how I can just sit down and just calm myself down. So a lot of pranayams are there which help you do that, stimulate your sympathetic nervous system. A lot of guided meditations are a great tool to use in that. And yeah, I think just constantly going back to you are your own savior. So, constantly going back to that thought that I have to pull myself out of this. I'm the only one who can do that. Yes, support is there, your family, social connections, all that is very important. How you are increasing your dopamine and serotonin is also very important every day. So these are neurotransmitters which get produced naturally in our brain. But when we are in setback, when we are in anxiety, when we are in the dissociated mode, survival mode, we do not have enough levels of neurotransmitters being produced. So instead of going to the medication, the good thing could be to start trying how naturally I get engaged with my hobbies or the social connection, part of a community, also finding purpose. For yourself, like what Deepa said. She found her calling. What Y.K. Sir said, he found his calling through all that grief and loss. So finding purpose. So these are some coping mechanisms that come to mind. To me, I'm sure Omna has more.
I'll just add to what she said. All that is there, plus. Now, when a failure happens, the first thing that you're hit with is a loss. You may have, in a business situation, you may have lost money, you may have lost time. In a personal situation, you may have lost a relationship or a person, or some people talk about, oh, I was insulted, I lost my respect, various things. So there's a sense of loss. And because of that loss, there's a sense of helplessness. How do I sort this out? How do I do it? And there's a huge amount of helplessness that causes all the anxiety. The moment we start thinking certain thoughts, that create emotions in the body. And invariably, we go into the mode of, we don't want to feel. We just don't want to feel. And we lock all these emotions into a ball, and it goes and resides somewhere in the body. So what Deepa was talking about her kidney being impacted by whatever other stuff she was going through in life, now that's exactly what happens. So there's a direct correlation between how we hold emotions tightly inside the body and we lock it up somewhere in the body, and that translates into many illnesses. Sometimes with help, or sometimes automatically, the body does not want to hold that anymore, which is what Aishwarya said, that one day she just broke down when she was trying to use her pencils and draw something. That whole locked up emotion that got locked up in the body just came out. And that part of it is very, very important. So it's very important that we don't lock up our emotions inside the body, because that really drains you and it causes illness. So if we can understand that, yes, there are these thoughts and there are my emotions, and then if we can look at, okay, can I learn a method by which I can allow my emotions to go out of the body? then we feel very relieved, and that relief helps us get the necessary strength to move forward with whatever the new plan we need to do. Maybe learn a skill, maybe restart, maybe, I mean, if it's a health issue, then deal with the entire stuff that issue requires you to do. But there's a certain amount of strength that's on it. Vis-a-vis, if it is blocked and locked inside and they're still feeling very helpless, we just don't move. And that's not going to be good for us. There are many, I mean, there's a whole list of things, so I don't think I can pick up many things and say, but like Deepa was also mentioning about journaling, that is a very good tool to use to allow your emotions to come out. Every day in the morning, just sit down and your brain is continuously giving you a whole narrative, a whole load of opinions. Just write it. Just simply write it. So that time you start owning that I'm feeling all this. You start acknowledging that I'm feeling. The moment you acknowledge, you're giving it an opportunity to just flow out of you. And the moment it flows out of you, you become a free bird. And from there, you can start planning what else you would like to do. You know, you're out of helplessness to, okay, I can do something about it right now.
Okay, so we had some intangible tools like calming, it's like positive self-talk, and then some tangible tools like meditation, pranayam, socializing with the right set of people. Is there a specific time period during which one should heal? I know people who are trying to combat failures for almost a decade. How does one know? And sometimes they don't even know that the tools are working on them. The tools definitely bring some momentary relief. So how does one decide that, okay, my healing is done, or what should be an ideal time frame for coping mechanism to happen?
There's no time frame. I think every individual is unique. They come with a lot of conditioning through childhood. They come with a lot of emotional baggage. Some of them come with a lot of childhood trauma. So this all over a period of time has impacted your cognitive thinking. It has impacted your perspective taking around the world. It has impacted how you feel about yourself. So first of all, we have to start from understanding where I am and how much wounded inner wound, what we call, how much of it is there. First, that is the realization that needs to be done. Maybe you go to an expert, maybe you are able to do it yourself. That is the first thing to do. That could take weeks, that could take months, that could also take years. What we are right now talking about, a state called, and Omana did talk about that state, which is known as the freeze state. So we have three responses in the body for anxiety and trauma, which is fight, flight, and freeze. And these are all evolutionary measures that early humans, it worked for early humans to save themselves for predators, because that meant that immediately your autonomous nervous system is overactive. You have energy in your legs to run, save yourself. All the other systems will shut down to conserve energy. So you might puke, you might, pee in your pants, like how that phrase is there. So all these things are happening when you are in fight and flight. But the third phase, which is the most, where you actually go into the pit, is the freeze phase, where you are in survival mode now, where your body is completely numb. So you might not be feeling you want to do it. You tell yourself every day, from tomorrow I will start. And you have a full to-do list ready and everything, but somehow you are not able to do it the next day. And it's because there is a huge disconnect between your mind and your body at that time. So when you are in that phase, it will take now a lot of time for you to recover from that. A lot of these tools will have to be used. A lot of conversations with your therapist will have to go in to understand how you have reached this stage where now your body is only in survival. It's just surviving. So you might not want to take a bath. You might not want to talk to anyone. Your appetite has gone down. So this is your way of your body to now just conserve whatever energy emotionally, because there's a whole lot of overwhelm and burnout emotionally that has already happened. So yes, there is no time frame. I think the best way to look at this is that what do I do every day? So every day I have to start. I can start with one small little step on the first day, the first week, and then see what opens up for me, because that one step is going to open up something for you. And then maybe you say, okay, this looks interesting, let me just, maybe you take your dog for a walk every day, and then you meet someone, and then now you want to meet that person because you have good conversations. So suddenly you are getting out of your room. Now you want to comb your hair, you want to look presentable to go and meet that friend. So this is how, that domino effect is there. But yes, there's no time frame. Anna?
So when we look at failure, there are various kinds, right? I mean, if we were to look at sizes or the how big or how small it is. Now, if I leave the milk to boil, which I'm sure happens with everyone, and then the milk just boils over, somebody can feel like one small failure, but it still added some task for me, and it messed up my day on that day. So it can be something very big, like you lose to people to death, or you have very big business losses, or something really very big, or health things, somebody going through a divorce. So in each area of life, there are certain things that are really big. Now, when the big things happen, I mean, you will take your time, and slowly you will heal. You may need help. You may attempt initially to do it by yourself, and then you may slowly get help, or your friends will help you, support you, all that. But that's not the only thing about failure, right? Like Ranjan said, every day we are going through some small bits of failure. And when we go through that, what are we doing? Are we just pushing that under the carpet, or just pushing it inside and just moving on? Are we becoming insensitive to what we are feeling when we failed in that small task that day? Now, for all those situations, I will say practice makes you perfect. So, like on each day, for that small bits of failure, what are you doing? For those things, we can surely prepare ourselves, or, we can keep practicing every day. And the more you practice, then small, if those failures become bigger, then you're going to take less time to come out of that failure. And what are the many ways in which you can practice? So many different ways, a lot to do with, for me, my favorite is fact versus opinion. And the other thing is your perspective, okay? When we fail, the first thing, one big thing that happens is we are afraid. There's a fear. Some of you may have heard this before, but what is fear? If you look at FEAR, we can always look at it as false evidence appearing real. Anytime there's a fear that hits you, can you just look at it as false evidence appearing real? Because today, right now, if there's suddenly a fire burning here or something happens, and none of us are going to have the time to sit here and feel fear. We're just going to run out of the place. And then we'll think back, oh my God, if it had happened and I was stuck, what would have happened? But in that moment, if something were really to happen, do you have time to feel fear? We don't have time to feel fear. When do we feel fear? Before something has happened. In our imagination, if this were going to happen, then I'm going to do this, then this might go wrong, and so on. So half the time, your problem lies in your imagination. So next time if you feel sure, then say, false evidence appearing real. What is going on right now? Some of the small things can help you get out of those daily situations. And as you keep practicing that whole time that we take to come out of a failure, we can bring it down a lot. So there's a whole lot in this area. Both Meetu and I can talk for a very long time. We have tried to crunch everything into a small time. So some of the things I'm talking may seem disconnected to some of you, but that's because I'm trying to pull out whatever is possible in this moment.
So before I wrap up the session, in one sentence, what is that fundamental element that a human needs to combat fear? One fundamental element. Combat the fear of failure.
So I think for me the favorite is the growth mindset, where we tell ourselves that I can learn, I can practice, I can experience new things and get better at anything that I have failed. So all the stories today, and especially I think Pallab, the first person of his failures in the entrepreneurship thing, that is how you keep going with the mindset where it's not fixed, where you are saying, oh my God, I'm a failure. But you say, I failed at this. I'm not a failure, but I failed at this and I can get better by exploring now what didn't go right for me. Right? So for me, that is a very, very important part that people need to have. And if I may add the second very critical part, and that is to drop any kind of fear of judgment. Because the moment that happens, log kya kahenge, the expectations of my parents, my teachers want me to top the school, and what is going to happen. I mean, I remember when my son was in grade 10, his school told him that you are so smart, you have to get in the top country, in the top 10. You have to get in grade 10. And one day he comes home totally dejected. He's not studying, not doing homework, and he gets into that smart kid, everything, and then he shares with me, Mama, I can't do it. Like, what if I'm not able to? They'll be also disappointed. And these are teachers who love me. So, I just can't do it. So I had to actually talk to him, talk to the school that, we have no such dreams, and please, this is the kind of expectation, pressure that we all feel so yes.
That's a tough thing, okay? No, I think I will say 10 sentences. Okay, anyway. So, the first step I would say is stop making failure wrong. You're constantly making something right, something wrong, something good, something bad, something less than, something better. Could you stop doing that? Stop making failure wrong. That would be the first thing. The next step would be, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? So if you can just suspend your thinking for a moment and ask yourself, what would I rather have instead? So you're moving from everything that can possibly go wrong, everything, all that stuff. But what do I want? Because constantly we are only thinking about what we don't want. I don't want somebody to judge me. I don't want to lose time. I don't want to lose money. I don't want. It's everything about what you don't want. And that's when again you start feeling very helpless. But if you were to ask yourself, what would I rather have instead? Now you're going to shift out from the negative spiral into at least a little neutral, or move into a little bit of a positive mindset. That's one thing. And with emotions, just sit down and feel the feeling, whatever it is. Because you can all experiment with it. If you're willing to feel the feeling, obviously the difficult ones, because the positive ones we're all happy feeling. So the difficult emotions, if you're willing to just sit down and feel the feeling, you put a timer there. Suspend your thinking, feel the feeling to the highest maximum extent that you can possibly feel bad. You will see that you cannot feel that bad emotion for more than 90 seconds. There is only 1.5 minutes. Now, when do you feel the feeling for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 week, 2 weeks? Because you continue to play that tape over and over and over again. So each time you press the tape and you start playing that tape, oh my God, now what's going to happen, your narrative, your story, all that, then your emotions begin again, because your emotions are triggered by your thoughts. So for your thoughts, you could ask yourself, what would I rather have instead? And for emotions, you just suspend thinking for 1.5 minutes and feel that feeling fully. It will go away. Maybe 2-3 times you have to do it. It will stop. These are some quick things that you could possibly do and hopefully easy to remember. Thank you.
So today's takeaway is failure is not failure. It is the perception of failure that is failure. I'll leave the floor open to audience. If they have questions, please ask Meetu and Omana.
I have one question to Omana ma'am. Ma'am, you said right, like the negative emotion you feel for 1.5 minutes. Like after what happens? Like, beyond that.
So when you, if you can if you can stop resisting the emotion, because we don't want to feel pain, we don't want to feel hurt, we don't want to feel let down. Okay, so what happens? Our automatic response is to stop, and that is going to take that emotion and lock it up inside the body. Whereas when you allow yourself to feel the feeling, that emotion flows out of you. Because the body is a chemical factory. So emotions are nothing but certain chemicals that are being triggered in the body, and it takes only 90 seconds for that chemical reaction to finish, start to end. You can read this if you want in a book called My Stroke of Insight by Jill Bolt Taylor. So she explains this whole thing about what is happening in it. But you can try it out. The trick is suspend thinking. If you continue to think, it might take 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is. But it just surely the emotion flows out of you. So you're not locking it up inside.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you everybody for being present. We have reached the conclusion of FailFest.